Hello, welcome back to another episode of Christ Life Living. We've been looking at a lot the last few days in the scriptures about the knowledges, about the marriage relationship that we have with the Christ that's in us, our minds, Paul dealing with the mind. I wouldn't know an exact number in Paul's epistles, but what Paul does is deal with the mind more than he deals with anything else. That's why we say Paul is the greatest psychologist that ever lived, because Paul knew what made a human being tick. We're body, soul, and spirit. So the life is in the spirit, comes up in the mind and expressed out of body, expressed as you are. But it comes from your life. It comes from your innermost parts, your being. In him I live, move, and have my being. And that's the way it was when we were in sin too. When we were in sin, we did the deeds of our Father. He said, in his deeds you will do. Now, if you'll go to 1 John 3, 8, and 9, you can see now that as the birthed again, the born again, those that have been birthed by God, by him placing his seed in them, Christ, the seed of God is Christ. Everything that God is, everything that Christ is in that seed. Lest the corn of wheat fall into the ground, that seed, lest this corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it remaineth alone. But now in this new birth, he has many children by the one Son in many believers. And so it wasn't the believer that was the sinner from the beginning we were talking about yesterday. It's no longer I, Paul said in Romans 7. It's no longer I, but sin in me. Romans 7 is really a loaded book that is very misunderstood by many believers. Starts out with the marriage relationship, shows the creation, the wife, the soul, and the husband, sin in us, and then there was no separation from that. You couldn't get free of that. It was just part of you. We came into the world with it, like we were talking about yesterday in Adam's disobedience. Now, all we're going to be children of disobedience, Adam's disobedience, when they come into the world. Though we did not sin after Adam's sin or do what Adam did, but now in Adam, we're all in Adam. We're going to come out of that lineage in Adam, in our creation. That's why we're conceived in sin, we're born in sin, conceived in sin, because it's just a continual flow of that nature and the seed that Adam received, sin in him. Well, Paul comes along in Romans 7, though, and says, hey, it wasn't I. It wasn't you. It wasn't Adam. It was sin in them. Sin. The nature. The person. So it was no longer the believer. Or it wasn't the believer. It was never the believer. It's not the believer now. It's Christ. It wasn't the believer then. It was sin. Satan nature, sin nature, rebel nature, sinner from the beginning, murderer from the beginning. It was him. Romans 7 and 8, 7 and 17. Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For the will is present with me. We're created in the image and likeness of God, with the knowledge of good and evil. We're created in his image, so you're going to have a desire, even in the world. Most people have a desire to be good, not be bad. Unless you're just going to really give in to the sin nature. And then you can get really bad. But regardless, you still have sin in you, in your original birth. dwelleth no good thing, for the will is present with me. That's the will. But how to perform that which is good, I find not. Woo, sin, for the good that I would do, I do not do, but the evil which I don't want to do or would not, that I do. Now if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. It was sin. Now Adam is speaking from a retrospective position here on Adam. This is like Adam talking to us. Now Adam could see, Paul could see now because of the new birth and his understanding and revelation of the Christ that's in us, understanding the cross, what God had did. So these things were all put together in Paul in his revelation of the Christ in him, and then Paul coming to revelations. When he went down into the Arabian desert, after he had a revelation of Jesus Christ in Galatians 1:15 and 16, he didn't go to the apostles before him. He said, I didn't confer with flesh and blood, nor with the apostles before me, but I went into the Arabian desert. And I suspect he was probably getting a lot of religion out of him, and he was receiving revelation. He had received a revelation of the Christ in him. Father's timing revealed the Son in Paul to bring this message, to bring this gospel about. And then he's given Paul revelation. So Paul could speak retrospective now. From that in Christ position, he could see that Adam was created in the image and likeness of God, but it was sin that entered in him. So it's no more I that do it, but it's sin that was in Adam. And that's what we do. Though we did not sin after the similitude of Adam, it says in Romans 5, though we didn't sin after his sin, the similitude of Adam, but yet all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. By nature, it's in them. That's what's in us. So separating those two, separate your creation from the sin that was in you or the sin that's in you if you've never been born again. If you've been born again, the sin that you do now is in your mind. You have no sin in you. You had the memories of the old way of doing things. That's the conversation of the old man that we had with the husband and wife relationship in Adam. The conversation, the soul and spirit, the conversation that we had when we were in the world was that lifestyle that came out of sin that was in us. And it was contrary to us. It's contrary to your creation. You're created in the image and likeness of God. There's nothing wrong with your creation. See, there is anything wrong with your creation. Your creation has just expressed sin. It's expressed debauchery. It's expressed evil. It's done sin. It's done evil. That's what sin is. When you do evil, that's sin. Because God created evil. He did not create sin. He created both good and evil. But he did not create sin. But sin entered in by one man. God didn't create it. So you see how you can put all those things together? It may not make a lot of sense to you right now, but it's really worth following up on, because this is an understanding that frees the born-again believer up and helps us to live Christ, helps us to know him as our life and have some expression of that. That's life. That's what life is. That's how you live in this world. And then what do you become? You become a mouthpiece. You become an oracle. And the world is your platform. The world is your pulpit. And everyone you come into contact with, it doesn't matter who it is. It may be your wife, your husband, your kids, a neighbor, a stranger, wherever you're at. You're in this world, and now you carry a message, see? And you're just always looking for an opportunity. Sometimes you may try to create an opportunity, depending on the situation, but you're always looking for that open door where the Lord's going to open the door. Because when he can trust you with your information that you have, people will cross paths with you. You'll cross paths with people, and you'll understand. You'll just have a sense that, I don't know if we want to say the Lord sent them to us, but you'll cross past with people that you feel like you need to share the message with, and you always have in readiness of mind to share with anyone when the door is open, and you keep it simple maybe, or whatever. It depends on their situation, or you can talk to them about the plan and purpose of God, because this is not a message that's heard in the world. I suspect maybe the Lord has kept it to himself, though it's been revealed. And you can see all, as we've talked about many messages, when you go back to the Dark Ages, you go back to Paul, maybe a couple hundred years after Paul, this message was really dwindling away. There was a few that still had it. And then we go through the Dark Ages, and then you start seeing men. Who knows what was going on in the Dark Ages with men and their understanding? Just what we can see, but I'm sure there was probably 7,000 in that cave that had understanding. When you feel like you're the only one, was it Elijah? Said, I'm the only one. He's stuck in that cave hiding out from maybe Jezebel or some evil queen or king. And he says, Lord, I'm the only one. And the Lord said, I've got 7,000 you don't know anything about. So that's how we share the message. No matter what you do. Doesn't matter what you do in life, as you make it a living, it's Christ alive as you doing it. In that situation, you may be the only Jesus on that job, the only true expression of the Christ, because of your knowledge and your understanding of it now. See how you can share with other people no matter where you're at. We don't just invite them to church, though you may want to do that. It's just endless situations. Endless. Everything you do is a ministry. It's a ministry of helps. It's a gift of giving self. It's a gift of for others. It's for others. You are for others. The selfishness is waning. It's ceasing to be so strong in you. You have self for others now. That's Christ in us. See, he's for others. So that's an expression of that. Paul would tell us that it's no longer I. And then he goes right into being born again. As we've talked about so many times here in the end of it, he says, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death? That body of death is the born again believer now with an unrenewed mind, dragging around an old man that doesn't exist anymore. We drag him around because we haven't had the understanding to go along with this new birth, that the old man is crucified with Christ. Romans 6:9 or something. So we got to get that understanding fixed in us. The old man is crucified. My old way of doing things is what comes out of mind. The old way of doing things is the old mind. It's the unrenewed mind. And we have areas in our minds that are unrenewed. We have areas in our mind that are renewed. But we have areas in our mind that have not been renewed to the Christ that's in us. And that will revert back to the old way of doing things, which is sin coming out of you. It's when you take your mind and do what you would do and forgetting all about the Christ that's in you. It's easy to do. Even when you know it. Because that mind was so trained in sin, no longer I that do it, but sin in me. It was so trained in the world and in sin, it's there. It's in that memory bank. It's in that hard drive. And that's why it needs to be renewed, and you put better stuff on top of it to be lived and expressed. coming out of you now. Coming out of you, your creation. Now you see the Christ in us now is not contrary to our creation. He fulfills the creature. He fulfills the human being for the reason they were created. They weren't created for sin. I believe God created good and evil for a few purposes, maybe. Some of it is part of creation when we're talking about creation. Suffering is built into creation. Circumstances and situations are in creation. Let's take a storm. Where I'm at, we have tornadoes come through a lot this time of year. You can already see the devastation that get all the way across this area, right through this buckle of the Bible Belt, up through Tornado Alley, they call it, over into the Arkansas, the Tennessees, up in through Iowa, Nebraska, all up in through there. Texas coming up. That's built into creation. It's not God sending the judgments. He's already judged the world. It's there in creation. They create circumstances and situations for people. If you haven't never lost it all, it's a horrible situation, circumstance in your life. Turn it for the good. It can be turned for the good. It'll work for the good. All things work for the good. Those that love God and are called according to His purpose. You see through those things to Him. You cry and you weep. Nobody loves to suffer loss. Homes being destroyed, lives. But you see through it to Christ. You weep. When one weeps, we all weep. When one rejoices, we all rejoice. We're all in this together. See? That's why we're not against others. We're against the message. We're against the message at times. You have to be against that. You're not against the people. But it's the message, because you understand that message now separates the people they're talking to from the Christ that's in them. So that's where your stance comes from. You're standing with them to come to the understanding that it's Christ in them, and so you'll give a rebuke and a rebuttal to the messages that come out of what comes out of religion. That's how we handle that in the world. Graciously. I know how I look sometimes, but it's gracious. You do it graciously. We don't just rebuke and everything that comes along. So the scriptures are for that. It's edification and rebuke. We all get rebuked sometimes. The Lord will rebuke you. You've been rebuked by the Lord. Woo. The scriptures rebuke us. I'll say something else about the scriptures. The scriptures will condemn you too. You have to know where to read. You have to have understanding. The condemnation is there. It's in the Word. You need a good dose of condemnation. If you don't know where to go to read in this book, you're going to be condemned. You're going to see an angry God, an Old Testament God bringing judgments here and there and everywhere else. But the judgment came. The judgments come on the day on the cross. When He crucified sin in Christ, that's the judgment. Because the judgment was on sin. The judgment's always on sin. So it was judged. Now the judgment's going to come on Judgment Day, and we're going to be judged by Paul's gospel. Read that in Romans 2:19. Paul said we're going to be judged by his gospel. What's going to happen? I got a feeling for it. I think our Father is going to ask us, what did we do with the Son that was in us? See that? What did you do with the Christ that's in you? He's in you. He's been in you since the moment you believed. What did you do with that? Well, I didn't know anything about it. Well, it's written. There's plenty around talking about it. What about it? Were you interested? What was up? Was the world taking you over? Were you more interested in the world? All right. understand that you'll have Christ in you. See, standing before your Father. I don't know how it's going to work then. But when we were on this world, we had Christ in us. And He's going to want to know about that. He's going to want to know what we did with the Christ in us. And He's going to turn right to Paul, right to this message, right to the mind of Christ here. These scriptures, and He's going to say, these 14 epistles, it's written. Or it is written. Paul even gives it to us in this dispensation. This has been given to me to fulfill the Word of God. This has been given to me to give to you, that when you read, you may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Christ in you. There really won't be a lot of excuses. We're just going to see what it was that our Father wanted. We're going to see what we've rejected. If we rejected it, maybe we've never heard it, never had an opportunity to reject it. But we're going to see what we rejected. And then my feeling is we're going to be learning Christ in eternity. This is not going to end. What we're learning now is what we're going to be learning then. What you're not learning now, you're going to have to learn then. So there may be a little separation in heaven for those that need to grow a little more. And then the other ones maybe get to go over there and sit with Paul for a little bit and say, Paul, this sure was a good message. Preach it to me one more time. That would be good. I heard a story one time. I take the stories about heaven. It's always preachers that get to go to heaven. So I kind of take them with a grain of salt for lack of better knowledge. But if they say this, then I'll just give them that, because they're saying it. So I'll give them that. But I don't place a lot of stock in it. I do. I listen, and a lot of it's entertaining. Jesse Duplantis had a great experience, sounds like. So, but he was the one, Jesse Duplantis, when he was walking through heaven, he seen a group of men standing around, and it was the Apostle Paul. And there were some men standing around a circle, and Jesse asked him, who are those? And the Lord said, that's Paul. And he said, Paul turned around and looked at him and said, hello, Jesse, or something like that. And he goes, what are men saying about my gospel? That got my attention. Now, I know it's written in here like that. My gospel, my gospel, my gospel. And I understand that Jesse Duplantis has not seen what Paul was talking about. I don't feel like he has. Just my understanding. But when he said that, I could see Paul doing that, turning around and saying, what are men saying about my gospel? So, for whatever that's worth, not trying to judge anyone or anything, it was just a moment that really sparked interest in me. So I feel like we're going to be learning Christ. What we don't learn now, we're going to learn then. Him. It's everything. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. It can be that now. A little taste of heaven. Taste and see that the Lord is good. We can have a little taste of heaven now, and then in eternity, then we shall know the plan and purpose of God in perfection. We're going to understand what He was doing in this world.